Welcome to the Friday Morning Money Call. I do these every Friday at 8:30 in the morning from my back room. If you don't know who I am, my name is Gary Bailey. I'm the founder of White Box Properties. I'm a full-time real estate investor. I've been doing this for about 20 years. Today, here's what we're going to talk about: how to find sellers. I have a foundational process that I teach where anybody can do this. Anybody can get started in wholesaling real estate. That's what I'm going to cover today. The four sources are this. Number one, you've got to have your MLS set up. You've got to own your local MLS. You may not get a ton of properties from that. The goal would maybe be about 6 to 10 per year from the MLS, but you've got to stay on top of it. The way that you do that is that you want to set up searches inside Zillow. Zillow is the best way to do it. You want to set up a portal. I typically have a couple different searches set up in Zillow that I stay on top of. I tend to break the city up into 4 different quadrants. So I've got north, I've got south, east, west, and then central. And that just kind of allows me to kind of break things up because I know that all the houses in this part of town are going to kind of be the same. The houses up in the northern part of town are going to kind of be the same. So I break those up into kind of some quadrants, about 5 different areas. And then I'm looking for specific types of properties. So what I do by setting those searches up in Zillow, and I might do, for example, one search I have set up is just one specific school district that's on the west side, and then put in the zip codes that you want, and then save that as a search. And every single day, that search will get populated with new listings, and then it'll get updated automatically, right? So if the property drops in price, it'll show up on there. If a new property comes on there, it'll show up on there. And what you want to do every day is you want to scrub your MLS properties. So you want to keep the ones you want to, mark as a favorite, the ones that you want to keep. Those would be houses that would be potential buys if the price was right. So meaning, it was outdated, it was vacant, anything like that needs some work, you'd save it. And then you pull it into your database, you do some analysis on it, you determine what you need to pay for the property, determine whether or not you need to go see it or not. And even though it's going to be a little bit competitive, MLS is an important source. Let me share with you a deal that we're closing on it in an hour and a half. So this is the property right here. This neighborhood, it's called Marymount. It's a very, very, very desirable part of town. I've actually never been able to find a deal in this neighborhood. So this property came up. It doesn't look like much, but it's vacant. So check this out. So this is the property here. We picked it up. It was listed at $245. And how do you work the MLS? So when you see a property like this, you're like, okay, this is ideal. And if this is an area that anything that comes on the market, honestly, below $400,000 in this neighborhood, you just instantly go and look at it. So we went and took a look at it, looked at like exactly something that we wanted, but we knew there was going to be a competitive situation. Even though I have agents that I have relationships with, because this was a competitive situation, we knew we needed to act quickly and we needed to get this property under contract. So the way that we did it, we reached out immediately to the listing agent. And we said, hey, we're interested in buying the property. We're interested in seeing the property. We set up the showing, said, hey, we don't have an agent. So then that allows the agent to draw the offer up for us. Now, I'm not suggesting that agents are going to do anything that would violate any type of like ethical guidelines or, any type of like provisions that they have to follow as agents of confidentiality or anything like that. But I tend to find that when I let the listing agent who represents the seller also represent me as a buyer, and it's a competitive situation, and in this case, I was told that they had about 40 offers on this property. I tend to find that when I let the listing agent represent me, for some reason, I always end up getting the property more than when I represent myself. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's a coincidence. I don't know, it's something about the stars or maybe the motivation of the agent, but whatever reason, in this situation, we were able to buy the property, even though there were 45 offers on the property. There were offers that were $20,000, $30,000 above our offer. So when we made our offer, we came in strong. We knew our numbers on the house. So I came in at 270 is where we ended up coming in, and we're closing on the property in a couple minutes. Actually, at 10 o'clock this morning, we're closing on the property, and that's what we're going to do. So here are the numbers on it. So obviously, you see the pictures. I've got a little video walkthrough that I put together for all my buyers so they can see, everything about the property, so they know what they're getting themselves into. But I want you to look at the comps here. So again, this is more about like analyzing this deal. So how do I know that this deal is a good deal, right? So the first thing I do is I look at what other investors are paying for in the area. I want to get an idea of the kind of the as is sales. So in this case, I've got a couple different as is sales. This is as is sale one. It's within. I try to stay within the same school district. So I just I did that search on Redfin. Actually, I said just show me Marymount, the neighborhood of Marymount sales for the last year, and then I did a search from low to high. And so this is what he came up with. This is one on Pocahontas, which is right near us. It's sold for $379 as is. Another one sold for as is for $275. Again, we paid $270 for ours. You can see it's outdated. Here's another one as is that sold for $285 as well. So again, we're right in that range. And why is that important? Well, it's important if you're going to be wholesaling properties to investors, you need to have a good idea of about what investors are paying in that area. So if you're going to try to sell to somebody that specializes in like this particular area, they're going to have a pretty good knowledge of what's going on in the market at that time. So what are investors paying for properties? So that way, when you send a house out, you might think the numbers are good, but for an investor who's used to seeing properties in that area, in that part of town, they're going to look at that right away. They're going to be able to tell whether or not it's a good deal. So look at these as is sales. Another as is sale for $315. So the as is ranged from $275 all the way up to $379. So even the very as is, so $275, $285, $315. So all as is, all stuff that's sold on the MLS. So I knew I was right in that price range where I need to be. The next thing I wanted to look at the rehabbed houses, look at the comps. So in this case, there's like a mix of rehabbed houses and non-rehabbed houses. So this is one on Petoskey, sold for $551, September 27th last year. So it's a little bit older. Obviously, it was like a year ago. But I'm looking for similar square footage. And I'm careful when I'm looking at square footage on like Redfin or Zillow, because sometimes they'll pull in the basement square footage. So it'll say it's actually, 1,700 square feet when it's really only 1,200 square feet. And again, because our property is relatively small, I wanted to keep with houses that were, under 2,000 square feet. Here's another one sold for $620 in July of this year, 3-bed, 1,400 square feet. So again, not that big of a house, but it's been rehabbed. It looks really nice. Comparable 3, my friends actually rehabbed this house right around the corner, $500,000. It had 1.5 baths, which was a big negative on the feedback from the buyers at $499. So again, we got worst case scenario sell for $499 all the way up to potentially $620, depending on how nice you make it. MLS can be a great source of properties as long as you stay on top of them. And you've got to understand, like, you're not going to get every single deal that comes on the MLS is not going to be a deal, obviously, and you're not going to get everything. There's going to be some crazy high prices. There's going to be some terrible deals on there, but you have to just work it methodically every single day, where you've got your searches that are pulling the properties in. I've got trainings. If you go into my school community, which is school.com/property magnet, you can go in there. You can watch all the past recordings of these Friday morning calls. And some other posts I've got in there. I've got hundreds and hundreds of posts in there, and I've got some calls and some classes in there where I talk about how to set up your searches in Zillow so that you're pulling your properties into your pipeline every single day. All right, so those are MLS properties. Those are the first thing. That is the number one thing. If you don't have that down, you don't have that system in place where properties are coming in every day and you're looking at houses off the MLS, then then you really need to get that in place before you try anything else. That's just a foundational thing. So that's number one. So that's the MLS. The second source of properties that you need to have is driving for dollars. And this is, again, I'm just talking about low margin stuff that's not going to cost you a lot of money. Driving for dollars, if you don't know, is when you drive around and you look for houses that look like they need work. Now, it's not anything that I would specifically go out and do, because it's probably the lowest leverage activity that you could potentially do based on your time. So what you want to do, you want to just incorporate the driving for dollars into your day-to-day. So as you're just going around, I don't have them here, they're in my car, but I have these notepads that look like there are stickers. They look like a spiral notebook. It looks like a handwritten note where it says, hey, I'm interested in this property. I have cash. I want to buy it as is. Call me today. And it has my phone number on there. I tear it off so it looks like a spiral notebook. I peel off the back and I just stick it on there. And it looks like a handwritten note. So I stick it on there, and then on the back of my pad, I write down what address I posted that on, and then I take a picture of it. Now you can really go to the next level, and I've got a form set up. I'll see if you can see it. And again, all this is it's in my course. It's completely free. So I've got, like, I call it Bush Buys form that I have set up where I basically put in, the picture. Did I leave a sticker on it? And that just throws it into a Google spreadsheet so that I can just take a picture of it, set it and forget it. And then I'll go back and revisit that later, whether I'm going to send a letter or skip trace, whatever I'm going to do. So that's the second part, is driving for dollars. The third source of properties that you absolutely just have on lockdown. So again, MLS properties. Every single day, use Zillow, have different searches set up in your city that are bringing in properties. Watch my training on how to manage that. Driving for dollars is the second way. You're literally just driving around looking for houses that have, overgrown grass, anything that maybe looks like somebody doesn't live there, but they're trying to make it look like somebody lives there. So you'll see like lacy curtains in the window and like a lamp that just seems to be on all the time because, boy, they're trying to make it look like somebody lives there when they don't. The winter is a good time to do driving for dollars because you can see, particularly at night, if you drive around dusk when the sun's going down, you can see whether or not there's car tracks in the driveway in the snow, if anybody's living there, if there's garbage cans. I mean, just all kinds of things you can check to see if the property is vacant or if it's occupied. And again, you're pulling those in. I think that there's no reason why you can't bring in 20 to 30, driving for dollars Bush Buys every single month in your business. So you should be focusing on, in your business, every day, pulling in a property into your pipeline from each of your sources. That means that of all the properties that are on the MLS in your city, you just want to find one that is potential buy. And then every day, as you're driving around, you want to find at least one property that's potential Bush Buy that you're adding into your business. So and then the next thing you're going to do is you're going to work your Facebook groups. So you've got MLS properties, driving for dollars, and then you've got your Facebook groups. Now, the Facebook groups, you look for off-market property groups, investor groups in your area. Again, join as many as you can. Join all the ones in your city. Here in Cincinnati, we've got like 4 or 5. You'll have a lot of overlap. Some of the groups will have a little bit of a different personality. Some of the groups will post a lot of like contractors and people looking for work or looking for funding or looking for deals. Some of the other ones might have more deals that people post. You kind of get a feel for how each of the communities work. So, be active in the communities, post on things, comment on things, contribute to the communities. Don't just be there lurking and consuming. So you want to add value so people take you seriously. And if you're going to be selling. And then that's where you're looking for properties. So you're looking for properties as people post those things on the Facebook groups. So you've got MLS for your first properties, driving for dollars second, Facebook groups are your third, and then that leads me to the fourth, which is wholesalers. If you are a wholesaler and you're new, it may make sense to try to partner up with other wholesalers to get deals. So your hardest part at the beginning is probably going to be finding deals and getting a deal locked down. So that's why I make your fourth source of properties other wholesalers, particularly if you're new. So that way you can ask them if they're open to like JVing. You can ask them, if they want to partner on a deal, if they want to do bird dogging, or if you can bring them a deal. So you're just trying to network with as many of the wholesalers as you can in your area. And you want to find out like who's legit, who's not, how many deals do they do, where do they get their properties, how long have they been doing it? Are they direct to seller, or do they work with other wholesalers? And you just want to like make yourself known among the wholesalers. And you want to get on as many buyers lists as you possibly can. Again, you're probably not going to get a ton of deals from these guys because they have their buyers. And if they're like most wholesalers, the properties that go out on their email or the properties that get posted on Facebook are already ones that their little inner circle group of investors have probably passed on. So now they're advertising it to a larger group. So what the activities are that I'm talking about today are you get high results for relatively low amount of work, right? So these are high leverage activities. Other than going out specifically and driving for dollars, these are all high leverage activities. So I know that you'll be able to find a property that needs work that comes on the MLS probably every day. You'll at least find one every single day. That's a lot. I know that you'll be able to go as you are out and about, you'll be able to find at least one property every single day that is potentially run down. And then I know that you'll be able to find at least one house every single day on Facebook or from your wholesalers every single day. So these are properties that you can count on consistently coming into your ecosystem every single day, and you've got a high potential of buying those properties. All right, guys, have a wonderful weekend. I'm out of time today. I will see you back here at 8:30 next Friday. Same bat time, same bat channel. Have a wonderful day. Go into my communitygroupschool.com/property magnet. You can watch a recording of this call. You're going to watch a recording of all my calls. You can access all my course material completely for free. Hop in there, say hello to everybody. Have a wonderful weekend. We will see you next week. Take care, guys.